Hello, Robert Bastian here with a little follow-on conversation about R-CPD, retrograde cricopharyngeal dysfunction, the no-burp syndrome, defined by 4 cardinal symptoms: can't burp, gurgling, bloating, and flatulence. Usually 3 out of 4 of those most people have, or all 4. And then there's a whole list of additional symptoms that are not as universal but still very common. Things like painful hiccups, hypersalivation, nausea after eating, a feeling of mechanical shortness of breath. Not that you're panting and out of breath, but you say, I can't possibly go for a run when I'm symptomatic because I can't, there's just no room to put air fully into my lungs. And then, let's see, even constipation. So people with R-CPD, from that list of maybe 10 symptoms, they will say, I have this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. You know, they have different sort of mixture of symptoms from that list. Well, when I work with people who can't burp, treating them with Botox, what I have learned over the years, having treated probably close to 1,000 people, that there are things that surprise non-burpers about people who can burp. So I thought, oh, let's just put down a little list and tell you what they are. The first one is that a lot of human burps are silent. So when I say to them things like, well, probably in the last week you were in the near environment of 50 burps that you didn't know anything about. Somebody who walked past you in the hallway, somebody in the conference room, somebody in the cubicle next to you, and you didn't even know that they did that. And so they're a little surprised. Now, it is true that early after treatment, the burps can be audible because they're not fully controlled yet. But most people, once they become good burpers, a lot of their burps, if not all of them, are silent. That's surprising. Number 2 is that some people are surprised that people who can burp can't always, or are not always aware of their burps. The reason I know that is if you ask a person who can burp, how many times do you think you burp in a day? They'll give you a number. And if you say to them, okay, now your assignment is to be mindful and keep track and actually count them for a few days, typically they'll come back to you and say, whoa, I burped more than I thought I did. I just didn't pay attention to a lot of them. So a lot of them are subconscious or outside of consciousness. Third is that they're a little surprised that burpers can't all do it on command. Now, there are people who can burp the alphabet and are really good at producing a burp anytime you want them to. But I would say a lot of people say, no, I can't sort of manufacture a burp, but when air comes up and needs to be burped out, I can respond to that just fine. I burp fine in response to need. And then the last one is about nausea after eating. After Thanksgiving dinner, the family and friends are sitting around, everyone has overeaten, and you might be surprised to know that you are probably the only one who's nauseated. Everyone else just feels overfull, they feel stuffed. It's like, oh, I wish I hadn't eaten the second piece of pie, but they don't typically feel nauseated as a result of overeating. So those are the 4 things that I would mention. A lot of burps are silent. Many people are unaware when they burp. A lot of normal burpers can't burp on command, and nausea after overeating is not typically a part of a normal burper's life. So I'm kind of interested in this subject of things that surprise non-burpers about people who burp, so feel free to shoot an email to info@laryngopedia.com. Those emails eventually make their way to me, and I'll add what surprises you to my list. Well, thank you for listening.